Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're gonna take a look at the new Sony RX10. So when this camera was announced along with the Sony A7 and the A7R, myself personally, I was very excited about this camera instead of the Sony A7, simply because I shoot with a full frame DSLR, and you know, I was looking for something smaller but you know, a more convenient kind of camera that I can just take everywhere with me instead of lugging around the DSLR. And when this was announced, the spec, it looks so good. You know, you have a 24-200 Zeiss lens, constant aperture of 2.8. You know, that's amazing. And the sensor is 1 inch and it's a weather seals camera. And you know, you get headphone jack to monitor your audio and mic input, along with clean HDMI out for external recording. You know, pretty much this has everything that I wanted it. You know, hot shoes, compatible with the XLR mic from Sony. You know, everything is just the click aperture ring, where you know you can have clickless aperture for video mode. You know, the spec looks amazing for this camera, so I was very excited, you know, of getting it and test it out. So I finally got it, and you know, I spent some time with it, shooting a lot of pictures and record some videos. And overall, my impression of this camera is pretty positive, in almost every single respect. Image quality wise, this lens is so amazing. It's so sharp and so contrasty. Zeiss lens, it's never let you down. It would never let you down. The picture straight out of camera Jpeg looks amazingly sharp. Even though it's only 1 inch sensor, if you zoom in a little bit and you shoot at 2.8, you do get some, you know, pretty nice out of focus bokeh. So it's actually really good. It's not as bad as people, you know, make it out to be. It's good for the sensor size. And when you stop it down a little bit, when you're shooting landscape, it's so sharp. It's amazingly sharp. Video quality on this thing is also amazing. It does have optical image stabilizer, so you can handheld a lot of shot. And when you shoot a wide at 24, you know, it actually looks really smooth. Also, this thing has a 3-stop built-in ND filter, so you can stay wide open. That's pretty amazing. You know, you have to stick on filter, even though you can. There's a filter thread here, 62mm, so you can actually stick an extra ND on if you need it to stop down a little bit more. But shooting video on this thing is so amazing. This sensor is so good, so sharp, in good lighting. My cons with this camera is that under low light, the autofocus is horrible. It would not lock. I had so much trouble trying to lock. It would just hunt back and forth and would not lock on a subject, and that's very annoying for me. Also, when you're shooting low light, even with stay wide open, when you kick on to ISO 1600, 3200, the image looks not that great. You know, I got so used to looking at, you know, full frame images in the high ISO performance, and you know, going back to this one, it's just not good. You have SD card here, and also the battery life, it uses the same battery as the next NEX series. Not that good, but you can buy, you know, a couple backup battery, so that should be no issues. Okay, so for the LCD, it does tilt out, so you can do your low angle shot. The EVF is 1.4 million dot. It's actually pretty good, but not as good as the A7, simply because the A7 is like 2.5 million dots. But this one's pretty good. And then you have the built-in mic. The built-in mic is actually one of the best in out of the camera out right now. It's actually very good for picking up sounds. You do have back wheel and your scroller wheel thing here. You have one diode on the front, and it's fly-by-wire, and it's not that good simply because when you're trying to zoom, it has a lag. So let's say you want to get to from 24 to 200 quickly. You know, it's gonna take you like 3 turns to do it. So that's very annoying. Even when you try to manually focus with picking, it's still lagging a little bit, so it's not as good. Autofocus in video mode for this camera is actually pretty good also. But I'm not a big fan of fly-by-wiring, simply because it feels like you have no control over it. But overall, I think this is a pretty good camera for people that would buy the Rebel series, you know, and just stick with the kit lens. This will beat it, no problem, simply because this lens is so good. But if you're looking for like full frame kind of image quality, you're not gonna get from this camera, because the low light this camera is not good. So overall, I think even with the price tag of $1,300, I think this camera is still a pretty good value, simply because of this lens alone. If you were to buy a 2.8 lens, no matter what kind of sensor, for example micro four thirds, you're still looking at $1,000 at least just for the lens alone. So I think $1,300 is actually a pretty good value for this camera. The only issues I have with this is that it's not that compact, but if you're looking for a convenient form factor, you know, one camera to take it everywhere with you, you know, I think this would be your best option right now. And you know, overall, this is a really good camera. And for me personally, I prefer the Sony A7, but I think to a lot of people, this would work. This would fulfill pretty much all of their need. Anyways, this is just a quick video to share with you guys some of my thoughts on this camera. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below and I will try to address them as soon as possible. Okay, thank you for watching guys, bye.